Good morning, peoples. Bruce with Targeted Wealth Creation, and I'm here for Group D estimates, which means y'all are interested in Misti. I know it. All right, let's cover this up. Well, that didn't do it, but this will. Okay. I'll make you guys wait for a little bit of it, but you may have saw it. It's okay. It's all right. All right, I got a little bit more to tell you, and it was time I updated Lefagy, ULTY, Gaputi, and went through a little more detail. People ask a lot of questions. Well, how'd you come up with that? How did you do this? And as I've said before, there are three factors, and then at the end of the day, it's still it's a WAG, right, or a swag, a simple wild ass guess or a wild ass guess. So that's the truth, but we can talk about factors that make it less than a wild ass guess. So let's jump into that. So APLY. So what I put these right here, I updated all of these for IVs. Obviously, it's hard to get the IV when you have a fund of funds and that, or portfolios where you hold a lot. So I'm just going to tell you right now, and for any, so I also have excluded, these are all weeklies down here in white, and I used to have these in orange, if you will, and I probably should put them back because they're all monthlies up here. And the red is there because it's an inverse, and so is winter. Winter is red. All right, guys. So once in a while, I'd have a straggler down there. And then I also fixed these back prices. I used to just do them, okay, every time it's Group D, what did it report? Well, when it's a weekly, there's been 4 payments since then. So I always really want to know what was the last payment. These all have a previous month. These all have a previous week. So I fixed all that. And then I went out and I averaged Lefagy's IV for all of its contents as of 6/27. So I have the holdings, I did that. And then some of these others, I went to the indexes and said, okay, what's the IV on the index since you write options on the index? So I put those IVs in there. And with ULTY, I guesstimated it. I'm going to show you all their holdings and go through it, but I didn't get all of the IVs and then average those like I did for Lefagy. And then on Chippy, since it works off SMH and it works off the semiconductor index, that is the IV for that. So, and then what I was able to do here is just do a simple average. I said, okay, this is the last 6 payments, right? Prior to going to be my July estimate. What was the average? There's no way I'm just going to go post the average. I look at things like what is the price of, what's the NAV of it done? And then I look at the holdings, what's the synthetic, how much gain do they have in the synthetic? Sometimes it's paper, but if they're sitting on a couple dollars and the difference is, are they going to pay 50 cents or 40 cents and they got $2, but they haven't rolled it or sold it, I'll be like, maybe they'll pay 5 cents more. But again, that paper can evaporate, even like with the 718 expiration, and then some are 815 expiration. So anyway, I'm going to get into that as I go through this and just educate you guys a little bit. So let's start with this one. 25.5. Whoops, I scrolled down. All right. So 27 cents for APLY. They paid 31, they paid 65, they paid 30. This is on the lower end. But look at this. They're down 2.08. So is that low for APLY? It could be. So you know what? I'm going to give it 29 cents because one of the things that I notice, it doesn't mean this is right either. I add up this is my actual. I've already raised my estimate, but all of these last time paid $20.34. My estimates now roll to 1875. Markets didn't do terribly bad. Most of these funds were up. So again, maybe I'm under on some, but some I don't think I am. All right. So let's talk about AMZY next up. 67 cents. The reason I have that is it had a good period of time. In the month, it's up 2.94%. Okay. Let's go take a look at their synthetic. Now, they haven't booked a lot of profits. Okay. So we're looking at, by the way, when you do holdings, this means it's close of business on 6/27, and to indicate close of business, they show the next business day. Well, on a weekend, it jumps to 6/30. Had this been a weekday, the holdings would have been 6/27 would have been the holdings after Thursday 6/26 trading action. So there's some logic to that. So the main thing that sticks out, forget about the weeklies, they're going to get resolved, but they really have nothing to do with the payday. Technically, the synthetic doesn't either, but I like to look at this. So they're setting on a synthetic, a 185 for Amazon. So it expires on 7/18, guys. Right. So they put the put at the top, and I know this is hard for read if you guys look at it, and the call at the bottom. What's the value of those? Well, when you can go look at where Amazon's trading, but obviously it's well over 185 and there's only 3 weeks left. And so it's assigned a value. Some of this is premium, but this, they're saying 185 because so far above that's 15 cents. So when you do the math on these times the numbers of shares times 100 for option, you come out with the positive number, the negative. They have 50.681994 million in paper profit. Now, if Amazon drops $20, part of that evaporates. So the question becomes, when are they going to roll that? They could roll it right now and go up to maybe a 200 or a 205. And put it there and have more cash available. So sort of to protect that cash. All right. I'm not getting into the weeklies and that. So that says they have, and here's your shares outstanding. So the mathematics are you take this and you simply divide it by the shares outstanding. You have $2.92 a share. Now, they never pay 100% of that. But if they paid 80 of that, well, they're never going to pay a percentage of a paper gain that could evaporate. Again, remember they cut off on the Friday before? So here we are on the weekend. They didn't close anything. This is all sitting out there. So let's go back. But that tells me, is that worth 5 or 10 cents or a benefit of a doubt? Probably. What's the IV? Well, the IV is only 27 cents. So if I call them at 67, that's almost a 53% yield based on Friday's closing price. Now, remember, when they come out with the actual on Wednesday, I'll change mine, but it's based on what the price is on the close of Tuesday night when they show the Wednesday declaration, because when they show the declaration and issue, the market hasn't opened for that Wednesday. So just understand that, guys. That's called yield on. It's called yield, but it's really yield on cost. What cost factor are they using? So I'm using Friday's close in this because I don't have Monday or Tuesday's close yet. All right, so I got 67 cents. DISO, Disney, is kind of similar in that they've got a paper profit. So let's go out and take a look. There's one more, SMCY, SMCY. It's got a decent paper profit as well. But most everybody else doesn't. So I'm not even going to show you SMCY. I've shown you enough that you get the gist of it, that I have some basis for what I'm thinking and doing. And then over here is the other factor with the 2.94. I'm not, they paid 79 and they paid 54. So I'm in the higher range. but I'm not that high on AMZY. So on DISO, let's look at DISO real quick. Now that you saw that methodology, you come down here at the bottom, they've got 6.6 million, a lot less shares, guys. Disney, not that popular as you can imagine. And so they got 243 a share in paper value. In real value, it's just not collected, right? The old adage is you bought a stock at $5, it's now 15. You're up $10, you bought 1,000 shares, you're like, yeah, I got a $10,000 profit. And you do on paper. Have you collected any of it? The smart move, probably, unless you knew some reason it was going to double again in another 30 days, to take your original money off the table, right? So then you're playing with house money. You take back, if you've doubled, take half of your investment out, and now you can let it ride and not so much worry about anything. Okay, guys, just a little strategy there. Okay, Group D, let's continue. XY or yeah, XYZY, right? Block, if you will, the payment guys, like a PayPal, different but similar. All right. 80 cents I have. They paid 87, they paid 41, they paid 40, 50. Might be high there, but they pay, and there's some money in the door. Not huge amounts, but they have enough for 60, 70. And so my gut says this is 80. They didn't drop much. Might be a little high, but when I look that I'm still under on others, I don't think so. So I'm sticking with 80, guys. AIYY. This has been such a loser, but it's hanging in there. Look at the year. I got 25.5. They paid 32, 32, 23, 32, 37, 37. So I got a low payment for them. But look at this. They're down 12% month over month. Does the erosion continues? So I eroded them down to 25, and it's still a 77% yield, guys. All right. So what is the story with Misti? I'm going to tell you, and for some of you saw before I covered it. That's fine. They did not make even $1. They simply did not. Their weeklies made some money. Their synthetic sucked. They do have a little bit of carry forward money. In other words, not all of the money's been paid out that they've earned every time, but the majority has. So psychologically, I could put 87 or 90 cents here, and they screwed us on several. I just think when 1/3 or 34% of all of the investment money in Yieldmax is on Misti, it is so visible. If they pay 87 cents, there might be a revolt. I mean, I'm half joking, but I'm half not joking. I mean, I own some Misti. It's not my biggest fund by far, but I own some Misti. And probably will go into it more when I see crypto running. This volatility, it's 46%, guys. AIYY is 50. SMCY 69. So that is not much IV. I don't have to tell you guys. It's going nowhere. It's been $20 and $21 for quite a while. But all things that rest, they build up strength. They're, Misti is eating well, working out, enjoying life, not stressed. And when it's time to go, Misti's ready to go. So it will happen. It's going to happen at its own time. So shut up, Bruce, and tell us what you're going to do. I got $1. $1, please. $1. And that comes out of, I don't think they want to break the psychological. They paid 101, I think, before. I mean, none of it's here to show over these last 6 months. All right. Let's move on to SMCY. They have some money in their synthetic, but it's a lot less. I think they got $1.24 or something. Something I saw when I looked at it. $1.23, guys. 77% yield on Misti. I've got a 60.72% yield. Look at the IV. All right, let's look at these last two. 26 cents for the inverse on the triple Qs. And where is that? I mean, look at the 30-day IV, 1690. It's right in line with last month. They're down 5%. Why? Because QQQs and the indexes, and they've touched the 52-week high, right? We've gone back and touched the highs in a couple of the indexes. I don't think we're going to keep going by them, but what I think the market doesn't always listen to. I mean, it could. We could run up 20% from where we are, but that almost induces a sell-off afterwards. I'd rather see it hang around. All right, so I got 26 cents. This one was tough on winter. They've paid 270. Remember, they're they're not that high price. They've come down, right? Down 8%. See, this is the old adage of just being an inverse. If Misti's not doing well on MSTR, then winter ought to be killing it. No. They're flat. Flat to nothing yields you some yield, but you make nothing in your synthetic, right? You're not making, you're losing because there's theta, there's time decay. So flat isn't good for the synthetic, but flat is always great for selling the calls because you capture that premium. But that's not the big payer. So I tried to stick it at $2. Could it be $1.90? Could it be $1.80? It could well be. But I was just too low in overall money, so I went to 201. And these other ones, guys, these are more swags. However, I want to show you some things here. Okay, I got 19 and 16. I've gone through all the machinations to figure it out. I really don't care to do that. I'm on the higher side, and I may even have them inverse. Maybe YMAX pays 16 and YMAG pays 19. But they were 15 and 15, they were 14 and 17, 18 and 17, 17 and 20, 21 and 29, 19 and 16. I'm sticking with it. All right, on Lefagy, I got them on the high, and these are not much different. Up 0.89, down 0.33 on the pricing. No big swing. Lefagy is showing me 3.82. It almost always pays in the 40s. There hasn't been a time here. 49, 49, 46, 47, 46, 48. Well, I got it at one of the 49s. What's the average? 47.88. What's the average on these guys? 17 and almost 21. So what else? Let me share with you what I did see on Lefagy and going out and taking a look. So I pulled up all of what they own, all of their holdings. So they got Bit Deer. Look at the IV on that, 95.50. Oh yeah. Clean Spark. Energy, crypto, 73.2. Oh, Coinbase, right? We know that from Coney, 60.9. Look at Core Scientific. 122.50 is the 30-day IV. And by the way, these are the weightings, a percentage of ownership. So look how much is in coin. Coin's been moving. They're smart to own coin. There was somebody that they own that went down a good amount this week. And I can't remember who it is. And I tried to remember. I was watching a Gareth Soloway show on Wednesday or Thursday, and they were showing this stock down. And I said, Lefagy doesn't own it. ULTY owns it. But I'm going to go through ULTY, but I couldn't remember what it was. So Clean Spark coin, it's a big percentage in coin. Big percentage. I mean, this is BitDeer's 2, this is 4. Core Z is Core Scientific is 6, 2A, and First American. That's just money market, guys. And then at the very bottom will be pure cash. But this is they own treasuries and they own money market. So this 30-day IV is not relative. You know what it is for? Is this guy, Galaxy Digital. All right. So and they don't own much of that, right? 1.47%. So GameStop, that's way down, 54%. The Hood, 596, 59.90. I thought that was low for the Hood too. HUD 8, crypto miner, 84.4. iBit, one of the largest Bitcoin trust, right? 8.76% of what they own, very low IV. Mara, 60. I like Mara. 63.6. This is an index. 35.90, 31.30. MicroStrategy 46.20, right? That's what you see on Misti and on Winter because that's their underlying. New holdings 36. Nvidia, somebody knows that. Opera, PayPal, Riot. Oh yeah, Riot. Tesla and Block XYZ. Cash 2.69. All right, guys. So, you know, they got a distinct, I like their holding. I really do. GameStop bores me, but otherwise, I kind of like their holding. So I think they're going to trot along and do just fine, guys. Let's go back and get going. Gaputi. So what I did here is I averaged. I told you that, but I didn't show you that. I went down here and I literally just added them all up and counted how many entries, and it's 58.67. And cash didn't matter, right? Because XYV, if it was discovering yield or something, then it's a different story. All right. So Gaputi, I have the holdings for Gaputi. I did not average them all, but what I thought I would do, I easily could. I wanted you to see what they are because, know what you own. So Apple 3.52, boring. AI, the underlying of AIYY, it hasn't been a high flyer. They own 8%. AMD, I like AMD. Amazon's got a lot of cash in that synthetic. Arista Networks, good company. Broadcom, a good company, a bit of a culprit, right? I don't like their pricing policy on what they do when they acquire companies. They hold they own their new customers. They don't really care. They just jack up the fee. Like, well, we didn't write the software. We bought the company. We're going to jack the fee up. And they do it on some that are really good buys that aren't many pure competitors. And sometimes the U.S. government, other big industry, just, I got a friend at Amazon's helping a big car manufacturer that he's the global sales manager for one of the big car companies that Amazon hosts. And he's had to help them get off one of the acquisitions that Broadcom made. So I don't like you know, when companies do that. Broadcom's owned some companies back in the 80s and 70s that they bought big software companies and they've retained them. Didn't buy them until the 90s, but I mean, it's amazing. They're predatory, I guess, is the thing. All right. Salesforce 2.51. CoreWeave 6.4. Google, IBM, that's a little old name also. Intel, Meta, Marvel, Microsoft, ServiceNow. And NVIDIA, look at that, 13.56% in NVIDIA. What else do they have? Oracle. Oh, Palantir, I like that. I like that a lot. Qualcomm, good company. Oh, I like Snowflake too. Right there, 13% and a couple of AI great companies. Tesla, Taiwan Semi, another good company. So Gaputi's got good stuff. What do we have Gaputi paying? Well, I got Gaputi paying 287. It's paid 27, 29, 28, 3, 32, 31. Maybe it's time to visit. Well, I could be wrong here. That's up. I'm going to give them more money, guys. I just noticed this. That's up 6% month over month. I'm going to give them 32.9. They haven't paid 32.9 before, but I'm saying they will. All right. So S Diddy, these are super hard. All you can do is go by the IV and, I mean, look at this, 13.4, 16.9. I mean, they're yielding. Look at what they're yielding. So I got it 18. Look at this. I think this had to do with the short week from the week before. So it should pop. I got it 18 and a half. I got it 21. I got 23 for R Diddy. It tends to be the bigger payer, not always. Was it last week? Was it in April? Well, remember, this is in April. This is just 2 weeks ago. This is the last payment. This is the weekly payment before that. And the weekly payment, look, they paid 20. They had paid 32. How'd they do over here? They're up. I might be low. Ulti was a hard one. This is where I printed Ulti, but I I can't remember the company that they own that was down like 20% on earnings. I said, "Oh man, they're taking a hit," but I don't think I see it in what they hold. So I honestly can't remember. Was it IONQ? I don't think so. All right, so let's go through. So they own AppLovin, 4%, right? App Maker, Space Mobile, another very leading edge, launch satellites, do all kinds of things. 5% in that. They own Coin. I think you guys recognize Coin. They own Money Market, First American, First Solar, 3.2. 7.28% in cash in the money market. Hood. Is it your neighborhood? 6%. Okay. I think Hood is about peaked, guys. I don't see much more room for it to run. All right. Quantum computing, IONQ. Labu, 3X Bio, Mara, Energy and Bitcoin Miner. Oh, Mobileye, full self-driving. It's an Israeli company. Autonomous driving, MicroStrategy. I think a few of you know of that one. I like this. I like Oklo. I should have bought it. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, guys. About 6 months ago. This is nuclear tech, right? There's no more efficient energy in the world than nuclear. It is absolutely the most efficient energy. Was dangerous, labeled dangerous for a long time because of accidents. You have to be careful. But some of these small nuclear reactors, some of these other things that are going on. Oh, I got an ambulance going by outside, guys. Hopefully you don't hear that. Palantir, what do they own? 4.35 of nuclear tech, 4.45. Reddit, social media, 5%. Rigetti computers. Rigetti is a quantum supercomputer, and it's volatile. SMCI, hardware servers, right? 3.84. SMCY, you guys know it. SMR, New Scale. They have tech around these smaller modular reactors. The problem with nuclear, it's fabulous. it's expensive as heck to put it together. There's like when you plan a nuclear reactor, to put it all together, to build it and everything is billions of dollars in like a 10-year roadmap, especially with all the regulations and sensitivity for nuclear waste. And with some of these SMRs and the small modular reactor and some of the other things, they can jumpstart this stuff in 2, 3, 4 years. So there's a lot of new tech around it. But it's clean energy. If you're green, if you love green, it's a clean energy. Yeah, most greens don't like it though, because of the thought of what happens if the waste gets out and you don't contain it, and you know. But you don't see much of that anymore. I mean, Japan with Fukushima, they shut it. They're one of the largest nuclear producers in the world as a small country. And I think, I don't know how many they had, 13, 15. They all got shut down after Fukushima. And so they're mostly all back now. France is another very large nuclear producer and scale of a country. All right. So nice stuff. Temu or TEM, right? Health tech. TNA, 3 times the small cap, 3 times the triple Qs, right? Tesla, AI lending, upstart, and then cash. All right, guys, I won't bore you with it, but it's good to know what you own. When I see ULTY, it reminds me of how well they're doing. They've got a diverse set of picks, and they all are high IV, and they all pay and produce because they're buying these for the most part. They're writing calls and doing other things, but they're owning the underlying for the most part. Let's look. That's the name. Yeah, we see it here in the ticker. Yeah, they'll sell a put, buy a call. So way to go, Ulti. Hang in there. Keep producing. I had somebody in the comments say, why own Ulti? It sucks. It only pays 9 cents. And I didn't even get it. I wasn't even there yet. And another person wrote, can you do simple math? Go take a look, right? It's a $6 stock, multiply 9 times 52 and divide by the price, right? Because it pays weekly. And look what your yield is. You know, it's 30 cents on $6. So it actually pays pretty well. I mean, I used to knock it all the time till I started looking again. It's only this last 60 or 90 days that it's really kind of stabilized. And again, if the market turns south, it's not going to be good holding those super high IV stocks, guys. But anyway, it's doing good. I give credit where credit is due. I got 9 cents. All right, I'm going to wrap up. 75% yield. I finished with Chippy, and I've got this at about 79. I didn't do the pure math, but they got pretty high IVs in there. I almost wrote 80, but I have a feeling it might be slightly lower than 80. So I got 38 cents for Chippy. Look at this, up 8%. I mean, LT's up 1.14, not a lot. And this might be bigger than that, guys, but that's it. I'll let you go. I've kept you long enough. Group D, let me give you a summary. Someone told me, why can't you tell a summary at the end when you're done? You know, and those little things stick in your brain. APLY, 29 cents. AMZY, 67. DISO, 54. XYZY, 80. AIYY 25.5. Misti, don't cry. $1. SMCY $1.23. YQQQ, the inverse on the triple Q is 26 cents. Winter, another inverse, 201, people. 19 for YMAX, 16 for YMAG, 49 for Lefagy, Gaputi 32.9. S Diddy 18.5, Q Diddy 21, R Diddy 23, Ulti the safe 9 cents, Chippy38. All right, people. This is Bruce with Targeted Wealth Creation saying adios. Have a good rest of your weekend. Bye for now.